anyway, we're going to move on from that, and I'm going to call out somebody that a lot of people on the right wing of the political persuasion like for some reason. He's become a big name in the alt-right, white nationalist movement. Why? I have no goddamn idea. But I'm going to talk a little bit about Jordan Peterson. That's right. I'm going to talk a little bit about Jordan Peterson and how this pseudo-intellectual pompous piece of trash is your quintessential and what has been outed because he posts pictures of himself in his little office or in his home or wherever the hell he's posting these pictures of him looking like a pompous pseudo-intellectual jerk-off in the background with huge pictures of Vladimir Lenin and Leon Trotsky. I mean, this guy is literally admitting to each and every one of you that he's a Leninist Marxist, man. He's a Leninist Marxist. He's a commie. How many more of these so-called alt-right, white nationalist e-celebs have to be called out as communist, as leftist in disguise? How many more of them have to be yanked out of the goddamn closet before you people realize that there is a genuine concerted effort by the extreme left to make right and left seem like no big difference? And that's why when I discuss the right wing of political ideas on this broadcast, I talk from the capitalist right perspective. The capitalist right. Because capitalism, it's the essence of freedom. It gives you, the individual, the ability to be able to carve out your own life, your own destiny, by utilizing your own ambition, your own creativity, your own skills, your own will, to be able to make whatever it is that you want to make with your life. And nobody stops you. And you see, you notice that in each and every one of these variants of extremes, whether it's the fringe left or the alt-right, white nationalist right, both of these fringe sides want to relinquish their individuality to the state. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. That's why you hear the white nationalists holler all the time, oh, we need National Socialism. We need National Socialism. I don't care how you spell it, you dumb white nationalist, that white socialism isn't regular socialism. You all are starting to sound like communists now. You know that? You're all starting to sound like blatant communists. The bottom line is, if you want to be a communist or you want to be a socialist, you are relinquishing your individual rights, your individual choice, your individual decision-making to the state. That's what you're doing when you advocate communism. That's what you're doing when you advocate socialism. You want to relinquish your own individuality, your freedom, your decisions, your choice to the state. That's what it's all about. And us capitalists don't want to do that. Us capitalists don't want to do that. We want our own individual freedom. We want our ability to be able to carve out our own lives, but at the same time, we want government to get the hell out of our lives. And that's what the capitalists are doing right now. And that's why I'm hoping that you're listening. Because we have to start acting politically. And I'm talking to all of you capitalists out there. This is a government made for the people and by the people, but if the people fall asleep at the wheel, we are going to see what has been happening to this country for the past 50 years. And that's why we have to stay vigilant. That's why you have to obtain your news and information from trusted sources and not just look at a bunch of talking heads on the television, which are nothing more than a CIA propaganda wing. It's time for you to wake up, and it's time for us to seize this government. And that's what we did. That's what we did when we elected Donald Trump. We seized this government. But folks, at every level, from the political class in Washington, D.C., to the deep state, to the legal systems of this country, to the media, to the international community, it is literally Donald Trump against the world. It's Donald Trump against the world. And folks, we as capitalists, we have to have his back. That's why I have not stopped doing these broadcasts, and that's why I continue to do this broadcast, even though I want to be honest with you folks, it's draining the energy out of me. You understand? I'm an old man. You understand? It's draining the energy out of me, but if I don't do it, nobody's going to do it. You have to know that Trump in office right now is our last chance as the American people to seize power over this government. When we, as the people, fear the government, then we are oppressed people. But when the government fears the people, then we, the people, are a free people. Anyway, look, I'm calling out Jordan Peterson because he's a piece of communist trash. And if anybody knows his little Twitter account, let him know I'm doing it, because I'd like to hear his little pompous ass, "Hi, I'm Jordan Peterson, and I can just talk like this and pretend that I actually know something, and I can just talk in this cadence and use sesquipedalian vocabulary to show off my intellectual prowess." When all you're doing is talking a bunch of mumbo-jumbo. You know what you are, Jordan Peterson? You know what you are? You are a poor man's Tony Robbins. That's what you are, you asshole. All right? You're a poor man's Tony Robbins teaching in some two-bit socialist scheme out there in Canada. So why don't you take your goddamn pseudo-intellectual ego and shove it right up your goddamn grinder-surfing poop hole, in my opinion. All right? Jesus Christ. What else are we going to freaking talk about tonight? Oh, yeah. Look, I got to move on, folks. I'm running out of goddamn time. I definitely want to talk about Jordan Peterson, this stupid, low-grade, pseudo-intellectual piece of trash. And if anybody knows Jordan Peterson, please, you could clip this part of the broadcast and send it to him, because he's a disingenuous, pseudo-intellectual piece of garbage. He's a poor man's goddamn Tony Robbins. All right? All right? And I'm sick and tired of seeing this guy and the right of the political spectrum putting this idiot on a pedestal. You know? Now, let me explain something about Jordan Peterson that came out here recently. Recently, Jordan Peterson was pictured sitting like some pompous pseudo-intellectual asshole in back of his home, presumably, that had nothing but pictures of communists. He had a humongous picture of Vladimir Lenin, Trotsky, and all the communists when they took over the Russia provinces. I mean, it is unbelievable that this asshole took this picture and showed everybody his true colors. This asshole is a Marxist-Leninist, and it makes perfect sense on why this asshole Jordan Peterson would be a Marxist-Leninist. What did I tell you guys the last show about Lenin? Or actually maybe a few shows back. Vladimir Lenin, the guy who created the first communist nation state, did it by utilizing the intelligentsia of Russia and comprising their own de facto government underneath the noses of the Tsar dynasty. Throughout 10 to 15 years, Lenin went from village to village in Russia and established these politburos and these bureaucratic governments for each and every one of these villages. Even though they weren't technically in power, these people that were a part of this intelligentsia in Russia listened to Lenin, and he established all these little communist councils. He established all these communist councils all across Russia, and then came when the democratic socialists took control of the country. Because it wasn't the Bolsheviks that overthrew the czars, folks. It was the democratic socialists. Now, once the democratic socialists took control, they didn't know how to feed the people. They did not have a government system in place or something that was on paper that would aid the people who were starving to death, which was the reasoning for them to overthrow the czars to begin with. And once Vladimir Lenin and the intelligentsia, because look, folks, Vladimir Lenin took the intelligent of the intelligent people and made them the de facto leaders of these villages. And as a result, he just went in and took power. That's what Lenin did. He already had the communist establishment already all across Russia. All he did was come in and went into Moscow and took power. Him and Trotsky. Trotsky, of course, had the military under his back, and once you have the military backing you up, you could take it. You're done. The country's yours. And as a result, Vladimir Lenin literally took power. And the reason he took power was because he had already established a government. He established these communist, councils all across Russia. And what he advised these communist councils, as he established them for 10 or 15 years throughout Russia, he told them to take the name of everyone who would be in opposition if the communists ever took control of Russia. And right after the communists took power, they went out and killed everybody who was a potential opposition to the communist state. And that's where gulags and mass executions, this is where all this starts happening. And folks, people like Jordan Peterson. And look, by the way, for you folks that don't believe me, take a look at my gab. Take a look at my gab. Take a look at Jordan Peterson looking out the window like some pompous pseudo-intellectual prick. And who does he have back there? Vladimir Lenin. That's one of the biggest pictures I've ever seen of Vladimir Lenin, Trotsky, and everybody in the back of him. I mean, this idiot thinks that he is Vladimir Lenin. And let's be honest. The reason he admires Vladimir Lenin is because Vladimir Lenin was an intellectual. He utilized people within the intelligentsia to take state power. And once the intelligentsia of Russia took state power, they directed state power to rearrange the society how they see fit. And that's what all these alt-right, white nationalists, Antifa, that's what they want to do. They all think they have the answer to change society. They all think they have the answer to change society. And I've always said, whenever you hear somebody say, I can change the world, those are the most dangerous people that you got to keep an eye on. And I'm calling out Jordan Peterson for the freaking Leninist Marxist that he is. And I'm tired of everybody on the right putting this stupid asshole on a pedestal. He says nothing, all right? He's literally like a white fortune cookie, all right? He is a literal poor man's goddamn Tony Robbins. Every time I ever hear this idiot, he's literally trying to rip off Confucius. I'm not even joking around. This guy is not an intellectual, man, and I'm sick and tired of this guy and his face and his, as he's gotten more and more popular, haven't you noticed his stature and his facial features and his speech begin to look a little bit more pompous because, I'm a professor and I know everything and yes, Stupid, dumb Jordan Peterson. I'm calling you out, Jordan Peterson, all right? You are a communist piece of trash. You are no different than all these other alt-right personalities, all these white nationalist personalities. You all want to relinquish you don't. I know Jordan Peterson, the reason he's a communist is because he thinks he's going to be in power. He thinks he's going to be in power. He thinks he's going to be a part of the system. I mean, that's why he's promoting it. Anybody who promotes communism or socialism, they believe that they're going to be a part of it. They believe that they're going to be in charge of people. That's the only reason why they promote it. So I'm calling you out, Jordan Peterson. You're a piece of trash. You're a no-good, once again, wolf in sheep's clothing, trying to make everybody assume that you are on the right wing of the political persuasion when in actuality you're a Marxist-Leninist piece of trash. All right? And I don't think that you're intellectual at all. All you are is a poor man's Tony Robbins. I guarantee you read your lectures off fortune cookies. I mean, I'm not joking around, man. You are a pathetic waste as it pertains to anything that is deemed intelligent in this world. And that's why you have never heard me talk about him once. You understand? That's why you haven't heard me talk about this piece of trash one time. And every one of these alt-right assholes love this guy. Every one of these alt-right assholes and these white nationalists, they think Jordan Peterson's great. They think that he's the intellectual foundation of what the hell they represent. And meanwhile, once again, another fucking communist. Excuse my French. How many more communists? How many more leftists? How many more undercover Jewish people are we going to have to unearth before you people realize that the white nationalist alt-right bullshit is a farce? It is an attempt at subversive coercion to make you believe that the right wing is the equivalent of you relinquishing your individual rights to the state.